the session. See, yesterday I saw many students coming after 2 o'clock, and if you come late, you'll be the loser, because I am very punctual. I start the session exactly at 2 o'clock. So try to come before 2. Don't come 5 minutes late or 10 minutes late. If you come 10 minutes late, you may lose about 4 or 5 questions, and that will definitely bother you, and you'll not be able to enjoy the remaining session. So please remember, try to come from tomorrow before 2 o'clock, and I don't know whether I can do it or not, but I will tell the coordinator, after 2, close the gates. Will not be allowed. Maximum 5 minutes margin we will give, not more than that. So today's paper is quite, I don't say very difficult, but it is rather difficult. And there are so many words which you may not be knowing. I have brought about 50 words from my side, especially from this closed test. The questions are rather easy, but the options, if you are good at English, you can make out. Otherwise, practically very difficult to get the correct word. Out of these 10 blanks, I would say 5 to 6 are rather easy, but 4 or 5 very difficult. Shall we start the session? So, the first one, the centre's reported decision to cap the subsidy. Underline the word cap. Here cap means what? Restrict. Restrict. Cap the subsidy on cooking gas makes perfect sense. Stop. Restrict means stop. Open-ended and in effect unlimited. Consumption subsidies on petroleum products simply. This is a bit difficult. Misallocate resources, stymie investment, and jack up the cost of funds across the board. Now you have to take the elimination approach. We cannot use the word designate. I'll show the meanings later. Designate generally goes with allotting something or giving the name. Designation, from this word you get the noun form designation. Earmark, simply earmark resources, but earmark, it is not relevant here. Add measure is also not relevant. Appropriate is also not relevant. So based on that, what is the answer? Because these are very difficult. Today what I'm going to do, I may be a little fast. One problem you are going to have. Second, you have to write a lot. But I'll give an option. I'll project the words and the meanings. Those who can take a pick, take a pick. Simultaneously, I will explain. That way we can save some time. So what is the answer here? Here we have to use all the verbs. Please underline the verbs. First you underline misallocate, stymie, that is also a verb, and jack up, that is also a verb, a phrasal verb. There are 3 verbs. So answer is the first option. Now we'll see the words. So what I suggest, take a pick of these words. If you start writing, it takes a lot of time. But simultaneously, I will explain. You could listen and take. Designate, part of speech is verb. Appoint someone to a specified office or post. Designated, designation. It has one or two meanings. Second one, an important word. Whatever is important, please put a star mark. What is the second word? Earmark. When you read editorials related to economy, the government, you come across this word. Reserve or designate for a particular purpose. Earmark some funds for some purpose. It goes that way. Add measure, not a regular word. It goes with law, to measure out land, etc. as a share or a portion. That is not a regular word. Stymie is also not a regular word. What is the meaning? It means prevent or hinder the progress of something. It has a negative connotation. Misallocate also negative. Stymie also negative. Jack up. Jack up, it has many meanings. If you take a vehicle, jack up, that meaning is different. Here it goes with commerce, which means this is an important expression. Please put a star mark. Jack up is also important. Across the board. Across the board means what? Applying to all. Not restricted to some people, applying to all, across the board. Have you taken a pic of this? Now let us move on to the second blank. The subsidy on domestic LPG cylinders is also distinguished, small, insignificant, overwhelmingly tiny. This one is easy. What is the reason? Please underline the word appropriated. Appropriate is an adjective as well as a verb. Please write in your notebook. First you write the word appropriate. See, this is a very good paper, you can learn a lot. So please be attentive and try to listen and write. First you write the word appropriate. Part of speech, adjective. Write one combination. Appropriate action means what? Apt action, related action. Then you write appropriate, write the part of speech, verb. Here it has a negative connotation. Write the meaning carefully. Appropriate means to take someone's property or someone's property, to take someone's property illegally, not legally. To snatch someone's property, to snatch someone's goods or things, whatever. It has a negative connotation. Now here, appropriated, has it been used as a noun or as a verb? As a verb. Then what is a word that describes a verb? An adverb. How many options are there? How many adverbs do you see? Only one. So based on that grammar knowledge, within no time you can decide. The fourth option is the answer. Easy one. Overwhelmingly appropriated. Now we'll see the words. There's only one word I have given here. Please write the meaning of the word overwhelmingly. Part of speech, adverb. To a very great degree or with a great majority. To make a lot of impact, a great impact. To a very great degree or with a great majority. Now let us move on to the third one. In parallel, what is needed is conception, a wrinkle, beckoning, stepped, unavoidable. Here actually we have to use a verb. What is the reason? Please underline the word up, give up, step up. That means what? It is a phrasal verb. Then you have to think of a verb. The verb, in which form? It is in passive voice. They step up. Passive voice is stepped up. Conception is a noun. A wrinkle is a noun. Please make a note. Conception, conceive is a verb. Conception, noun. A wrinkle, singular, wrinkles. Old people have a lot of wrinkles on the skin. Noun. Beckon is a verb. It means gesture. I'll show the meaning later. But beckoning up is not correct. So here what is required? Something that speeds up, increases. So the answer here is stepped up. Unavoidable is what? Adjective. It is not a verb. Step up means what? To increase. I'll show the meaning later. First you make a note. What is the answer here? Stepped up. So conception is an important word. Underline, put a star mark. Something conceived, notion, idea, design or plan. Generally conception we use to mean a notion or idea. Beckon. Beckon means what? Gesture, wave or signal. Step up. Step up is an important word. Underline that, put a star mark. To increase, augment or advance, especially by one or more steps. Step up. That is an important one. Now what is the answer here? Have you taken the pick? So answer is what? The fourth option, stepped up. No, I think we don't see any Now he writes about the connections and all. Then the last sentence in that paragraph, it goes like this. Was a 2012 survey. Usually surveys, what do? They reveal or disclose or state whatever. Usually they reveal. So what is the answer here? The third option, revealed. Slant means what? Not straight. A little, not straight. Suppress, not relevant here. Suppress means to control with an iron hand. Conceal means what? Hide. So they are not relevant. Reveal is an important word. Put a star mark. I wanted you to learn these two words. Reveal is rather easy, but divulge, that's also an important word. Disclose, that is also an important word. Conceal is an easy word, but still important. Means what? Hide. Not allowed to be seen. Copied? And in 2013, it was found that, is any problem? You want me to display again? Shall I continue? So in 2013, it was found that 20% of its 1.6 crore registered LPG consumers in Andhra Pradesh were what? Lighting problem. Where? You are not able to see some problem, it seems. Now is that okay? So they were what? Potent, bogus, intellectual, authentic, genuine. Here it is a negative connotation, negative situation. So what is the answer here? You all must have got this one correct. Easy one. What is it? Bogus. Now write the meaning of this is an important word. Please put a star mark. Potent. Potent, part of speech adjective. Having great power, influence or effect. Bogus, adjective, not genuine, not true. Intellection, the action or process of understanding as opposed to imagination. This comes from the word, please write the word, intellect. Intellect means what? Knowledge. Intellect means what? Knowledge. From this word we get intellectual. Who is an intellectual? A person with knowledge. And what is the last one? Last one is also an important word. Quite often you come across this word, authentic. Authentic means what? Genuine or original, correct. Authentic information means what? Correct information. So, what is the answer in that second option? Now blank number 6. The way background is afterwards trailing ahead subsequently. When you see the options, you can easily make out if you read regularly. So what is the answer? Underline the word way, then obviously you think of ahead. The way ahead is. It's a standard expression and you don't have to look at other options. The answer is the fourth option. Now let us see. There are two words which you can consider. One is trailing. Trailing means what? Draw or be drawn along, behind someone or something. Trail means to be behind. behind someone or something. Subsequently, this is used in passages as a link word. Subsequently, part of speech adverb. What is the meaning? After a particular thing has happened or afterwards, later. Subsequently also means later. Have you taken? Now let us see the next. The idea ought to be. Please underline ought to be. See, usually when I get some feedback, I react or respond in two ways. First, I get a little disturbed. It's quite natural. Second, I try to think of a solution. So I don't want to mention the name of the student, but this is only to make sure that we get a positive result. I got the feedback that still there are some students who are not able to understand, they are not able to connect. That is one thing. And second, if you remember, in the beginning I would give words, a lot of information. The word, the part of speech, the related words, all that. And nowadays I'm not doing it. You must have seen the difference, change. One of the reasons, initially when we teach, anything should be progressive. Initially, at least my approach or any person who's sensible, the approach, initially when we start, we know that this is like beginners group. And we go down to the level of the beginners and we start from there, from scratch. After some time, what we expect some progress. Then we increase our standards. After 2 or 3 months, we feel that, yes, students are ready to go with the actual style. Then we teach or we explain from that platform. Now, if people don't change, what will happen? Now, 3 things will happen here. One group, they will change, they will progress, and they feel very comfortable. But usually that is a minority, that is a problem. And the second group, on the way to change. Sometimes they enjoy, sometimes they don't enjoy. The third group, majority, because their habits are deeply ingrained in the blood, they have a different background, and I may spend 1 year also, still they may feel he is not the right person, we need Telugu to English or something like that. We cannot, I'm not pointing out anyone. It all depends on your background. But all of you please remember, there are 2 approaches. One is using the regional language. That's why I asked the other day. I myself felt somewhere I'm getting disconnected. Because I spend a lot of time, I see question mark faces here, it pulls me down. I feel a little discouraged and depressed. Because I spend 3 to 4 hours. What is the main objective? To make sure that you come up to the expected level. Then I see many students. The other day also I was so depressed and I felt so shocked. Out of 400 students, only 10 students could answer a simple para jumble. Do you remember? Related to Medicash. 5 sentences, I asked the question, how many of you have got correct? Not even 10 students. And I stopped with the statement, I'm shocked. With that shock, I'm winding up the session. Do you remember? So what I'm trying to say, you always have a choice. That's why I asked the other day, how many of you want Telugu to English explanation? English to English explanation. Many students raised their hands for English to English. I was so happy. But today also I feel somewhere something is missing. The reason for asking, if you all prefer Telugu to English, I'll stop coming. Very simple. As simple as that. If people prefer English to English, then I'll continue coming. The purpose should not be defeated. Do you understand what I say? You all understand what I say? So when I ask the opinion, you should be very frank. You simply raise your hand, what does it mean? There are 2 problems here. Please listen very carefully. When we ask the feedback, we ask with a good intention. There's nothing personal here. Ultimately what matters, I was telling the other day, KPHB, I was taking the class. How many years experience I have, it doesn't matter. My name has been in inter-second-year English textbook for 4 years in one of the lessons. And last year, inter-second-year public exam, they gave the same lesson for comprehension. 4 years. That doesn't matter. My experience doesn't matter if I cannot reach you. Do you understand what I say? What matters not my experience, not my name, not what I worked as. What matters is when I take the session here, majority they got enriched or not. Majority don't get enriched. As a faculty, I failed. As simple as that. I don't want that to happen because time is precious. Every day matters, and every day you should get enriched. Again, I'm asking, how many of you prefer English to English? Please raise your hands. Honest, this is too much. Fine. So one more thing, you may have some difficulty, you may have some problem. Again, I'm giving the option. Please write on a piece of paper, give the coordinator, express your problem. We'll try to do something. At least try to do that. Now let me continue. Because initially I was slow. I was touching the basics. Now I'm a little fast because my focus is more on comprehension, not on vocabulary basics. Because when I talk to a lot of students, morning also I was asking this batch, if you remember, what is the major problem? Many students say RC. Now what does it mean? We should focus more on RC, not on the basics. Basic stage we have crossed. You always want to be in the basic stage, then you cannot progress. Do you understand what I say? First month basics, second month higher level, third month the major problem. For most of you, what is the major problem? RC is a major problem. Yes or no? So you should focus on that. That's what I've been trying to do. Fine, let us move on. What is a blank number? Please underline the idea ought to be. Ought to be. Do you remember this helping verb? The meaning is the same, should and ought to be. What is the meaning? Please make a note. It is used to advise or suggest someone. To advise or suggest someone. But ought to has become outdated. Brackets you write, outdated. Now we'll see the sentence. The idea ought to be to move to a competitive market price rather than a heels off is not relevant here. Making subsidized, they have already made, that is also not correct. Bringing up, already they have done it, not correct. Uncommercialized, it is uncommercialized. Again, we cannot continue the same thing. So what is the answer here? The fifth option, distorted subsidized price. Distorted. I'll give the meaning later. That is perverse. Perverse, underline the word, I'll tell the meaning later. Incentive for, this is a bit difficult. Arbitrage, you should know the meaning, otherwise you cannot. Abaft, you should know the meaning, otherwise you cannot. The rear, that you can easily make out. So here the answer is, first you make a note, the fifth option and the first option, arbitrage. Now we'll see the meaning, then you understand why it is the right option. First you write bring up. You have got this already. Bring up means what? To bring a person to maturity through nurturing, care and education. And one more meaning, bring up means to catch someone's attention. In a meeting they brought up the issue. That means they wanted everyone to make a note of that issue. Distort, pull or twist out of shape. It also means to change. Distort means to change. And distort has a negative connotation. Please make a note, negative connotation. Please underline the word, this is important. They may give in phrasal verbs. Distort is an important word. Arbitrage, very important. The simultaneous buying and selling of securities, currency or commodities. Abaft is not a regular word. Please don't consider that one, but make a note. In tandem, very important. Please put a star mark. It goes with effective English. In tandem means what? Alongside each other. Alongside each other. Have you taken the pick? Okay, fine. Now the next one. Such parallel marketing was tried out back in 1993, but it failed to take off as there was some policy. How do we describe a policy? You should know the meaning of ineluctable, holistic. Charming is everyday English, not relevant here. Seductive is everyday English, not relevant here. Fascinating, again everyday English, not relevant here. But generally, you must have heard this word holistic from me. Holistic means what? Taking everything into consideration. My favorite word, holistic approach. Now see the meanings of these words. First you write the word ineluctable. Unable to be resisted or avoided. Inescapable. To some extent it is an important word. Holistic, very important. Not because I like it, otherwise also it is an important word. Seductive, it has a negative connotation. Tempting and attractive, enticing. Seduce, what is the verb form? Seduce. Fascinating is a positive word. Extremely interesting or attracting. Fascinating idea. And one more reason why I go a little fast, there's so much to give. If I take my own sweet time, I can complete only, I have so much information. If I teach very slowly, I can complete only 15 to 20 questions. There's so much to give. So I try to do it a little fast. Now let us see the last one. If the government were to stress, please underline, because of the word if, we have to use a helping verb to be, not was, were to stress city gas distribution projects to replace bottled LPG, the investment would boost economic growth as well. This is very difficult. I would like to know how many of you have chosen the second option. That's really appreciable, very good. Answer is the second option. Corollary, but that's a bit difficult to make out. Apprehension, see, this paper personally I liked a lot. One of the reasons, today I have brought about 50 words, 50. All words are very useful. You may come across these words in the passages or vocabulary somewhere. So first you make a note of the word notion. Already I've got somewhere conception, synonyms. Then corollary, what does it mean? Part of speech adjective. Forming a proposition that follows from one already proved. Apprehension you got many a time. Apprehension means what? Anxiety or fear that something bad or unpleasant will happen. People have a lot of apprehensions, human nature. Personally, I like this word, brainchild. It's an important word. You may come across the passages quite often. Brainchild, part of speech noun. An idea or invention which is considered to be a particular person's creation. Now imagine this institute has been the idea of our director Sreedhars sir. Then what do we say? This institute is a brainchild of so-and-so person. So it's a very good word. Try to remember, put a star mark. And this is also an important word. This is also apprehension, you've got many a time. All the 4 words are important. Now I would like to know how many of you have got all the 10 correct. Has anyone? You got all the 10 correct, both of you. 3, give them a big hand. It is really appreciable, really. See, sometimes I have mixed feelings towards this group. Mixed feelings means what? Positive and negative. On one hand, I see students getting 30 out of 30, and they come and say, "Sir, the way you teach is perfect." They're quite happy with this pace, the style. On the other hand, we have students who say, "No, he is not the right person for us." We can't help it. Now let us take the passage. Again, I would like to ask the question. In fact, I would like to share one more thing. Earlier I was with some other institute. I don't want to mention the name of the institute. That institute, not very big, but a reputed institute, almost 40 years in the field, the pioneers, I would say. Every batch we would have about 40 to 50 students, and most of them good at English. They have a different background, English medium or from a different family background, from the city or towns. There I never had a problem. They would never come and say, sir, we are not able to follow your English. Sir, you are too fast. Sir, please use Telugu. In fact, that institute, they would not take a faculty who uses Telugu as a faculty. Do you understand what I say? They want a faculty to use only English. Any person who uses Telugu, he will be rejected. As simple as that. But when I came to this institute last year, initially when I would enter this hall, people would walk out on my face. I felt very bad. What is happening? My experience, my reputation, and there people would praise a lot. And when I went to that institute, they had about 3 or 4 English faculty. They told all of the faculty, don't come from tomorrow. They gave all the batches to me. I would teach 10 hours a day. 7 to 9, 10 to 12, 1:30 to 5:30, 6 to 8. Every day 10 hours teaching. And here people would simply, one more thing I noticed initially, 3 hours are sessions, regular classes. 1.5 hours they would be there. Second session, remaining 1.5 hours, 50% disappear. I didn't understand what is wrong with this institute or students, or what is wrong with me. So contemplation. Contemplation means what? Asking yourself, questioning yourself. Then I came to know many students are used to Telugu to English, one problem. Second, their background is different, village background, and most of them are not exposed to this sort of teaching. Then I changed my pace. Why I'm telling all this? I brought my English down. I made it very simple. In that institute, I would always try to make it more difficult, more effective. Here, less difficult, and less effective. More simple. Then I started teaching very slowly. In spite of all that, today also many students here feel I'm very fast, they can't comprehend my English, I don't know what to do. The only thing is, I should stop coming, I should bring someone else who uses Telugu and English. That is the only solution. Or you should raise your standards. But positive side, initially only 10 students would appreciate English to English teaching. But today I feel at least 50% they like and they want English to English teaching. Yes or no? So I see some change. But he doesn't agree. He still has a different opinion. But please remember, we want you to change. This change is not a personal thing. We want you to change to get selected. So why should you change? Today the papers are so tough. You all know what is a block, what is a impediment, what is a hurdle for all of you. Tell me, is it quant or reasoning or English? What will you say? Unanimous, you will say English. Yes or no? Yes or no? So that means what? You should focus on this and you have to go to the next level. So keep that in mind and try to change yourself. I'll take the feedback after 3 weeks. If still people feel Telugu to English, then I will not handle these batches. Very simple. As simple as that. Now let us move on. This passage, how many of you have read the passage? Please raise your hands. Today also I see only not even 50%, 1/3. This also I don't like personally. There are two things, excuse me. There are two things here. One, why should we tell you to read the passage? It's not my job. Whose job is it? Whose responsibility is it? Your responsibility. Then I have been telling you people, read the passage, read the passage. Almost 6 months are over. Still we see almost 1/3 only read the passage. 2/3 they don't read the passage. What should I say? That really very painful and not acceptable. And I know what will happen. I know what will happen. When you change, when you improve, the result will be positive. As long as you want to be in the comfort zone, you all want to be in the comfort zone, then the result will not be positive. It will be almost you go there, you come back. So first year, second year, third year, then you start blaming. This master is not good, this institute is not good, this book is not good. That should not happen. Only one time, try it and finish it off. Now, those who have read the passage, listen very carefully. I am going to present it differently today. Because again, I felt the other day I brought the passage, if you remember, Kerala State. But that day also I was not quite happy. I could not see the joy of that, the pleasure of learning, the way I presented. Only a few students could connect. So what I'm going to do today, we'll see whether it works out or not. Those who have read the passage, listen very carefully. As I said, first to read the passage, ask yourself, what is this about? This is about UK elections and one particular party. Broadly, there are two paragraphs. One about elections. I'll use only the key letters. Elections in the UK. Second about 5 parties, how they did in the elections. 5 parties. The second paragraph is all about one of the 5 parties, what they did, what they said during the elections time, and the conclusion part. Now coming to this first paragraph, he starts with the elections in the UK, and he states there are 5 parties. The Conservative Party has won. Then he talks about the Liberal Party, and it has got the far second place. Then he talks about the Scottish National Party. Then he talks about the Liberal Democratic Party. Then he talks about the United Kingdom Independence Party. Each party he talks about. So when you read the passage, you should have a framework. Elections, let us say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 parties. Each party has given a few facts. Some of them could be important, may not be important. Then he elaborated one particular party. Which party is that? The Conservative Party. Then there he talked about the mandate. Mandate means what? The verdict. Then he talked about the manifesto, party manifesto. Manifesto means what? What they promised at the time of the elections. Then he talked about what they did to, in terms of the food banks, then employment, all those things. Then he talks about the poverty. Many British people, they are living under poverty. Then he talks about, he distinguishes between poverty and deep poverty. There he uses the facts and figures. Then finally he concludes, it is not that easy, because this particular party, the government, has resorted to austerity measures. Austerity measures means what? They cut down the expenses. That's an important word. And he says it is not that easy because there are certain impediments or hurdles or blocks. This is a broad framework. So once you have the framework, then it becomes so easy for you to answer the questions. But before we go to the questions, I want you to make a note of 1 or 2 words which are important in the passage. They use the word reneged. It is a verb, past form. What is the meaning? Go back on a promise, undertaking or contract. Is it raining? Oh, that's really good. So go back on a promise, undertaking or contract. Have you made a note? That word is not very important, but these, all the 3 words are very important. If you read a passage related to economy, then you come across skyrocketing and also the word soaring.